Hello, and welcome to SEGA News Bits Live. I'm Barry, and I'm going live just as a critical box has disappeared. Okay, there we go. Volume levels. Because if you can't hear me, what's the point in making a video? So the past few weeks of SEGA News have been pretty light, but I definitely wanted to touch on a few things that has happened since our last episode, which was recorded on November 16th, where we talked about Sonic Frontiers. God, look how white my forehead looks. Look like an alien. See, this is what happens when you jump on. You don't adjust the lights. You don't even check the audio. So I could be coming in hot, could be coming in cold, but I don't know. I'm feeling warm down here today. It is a beautiful day in Chicago, Illinois. No, wait. That's not what we're talking about. What we are talking about is, well, look at this. So last time we talked, the Xbox had a bevy of, was it a bevy? It was like a drip of Sega games that joined the service, including Smilebit's Gun Valkyrie. And yeah, I mean, I know people were kind of, pissed off that it wasn't Jet Set Radio Future, but come on, guys, it's the music rights alone caused the previous game to have, I don't know how long it took them to get it out, but even when it did come out, it was missing, I think, one or two songs. But I'm the Jet Set Radio expert, so I'm pretty sure it was one song, and it was a song that appeared in the European version of Jet Set Radio, because the digital version of Jet Set Radio had, I believe, all the tracks, minus one. But in any case, something that we discovered, or it was actually brought to my attention by Kiyoshi Okuma of Strike Harbinger fame. He's making that indie game that's based off of Space Harrier. He made mention that the Xbox accessibility features would allow owners of Gun Valkyrie to actually control the game differently. And I love the game, but it is a very hard game to control because you control with the left analog stick, obviously, and you push in to activate your jetpack. And imagine that, like something that's critical to use, you're constantly holding down on the thumbstick and pressing it. It gets pretty annoying pretty quickly. And thankfully, accessibility features allows you to change where L3 is mapped. And so I actually put a video up. Let's see if this is not too choppy. I put a video up on the SegaBits YouTube channel. You can check this out at segabits.com. It is... it's a hidden video. It's not listed, so you can check it out on our website. But it's just me goofing around with the L3 button mapped to a different button, which was actually, I believe, I say in the post, I think it was like the B button. There's like a critical button they do not use for gameplay. So that's something. I mean, it's not a complete patch on some issues people have with the game, but the ability to change the mapping of controls, I think, is huge. So good on them for bringing it over, and good on Xbox for having accessibility controls like that. The next bit of news is that Alien Isolation is coming to iOS and Android on December 16th, which is in 13 days. So I'm going to be pestering Sega for some maybe early copies of the game. Maybe we could do a contest. I'm not sure. But I am very excited to see how this game actually works out on a mobile platform. People have been saying it's kind of insane that Sega can think they can bring this over. I think it's totally possible. This game is from 2014, remember. Smartphones are capable of doing much more than they used to. And I think it looks pretty good. Again, let's just click on this video here. We can... I'll just click through. So I guess this is in-game footage. It looks great. And any choppiness you are seeing is obviously just through me sharing my screen here. But if you can ignore that and just check out the graphics here, it looks like Alien Isolations. Isolations. Is that the sequel? I guess Alien, Aliens, Alien Isolation, Alien Isolations. Anyway, yeah, so expect to hear a little write-up on how this game fares. I'm going to be getting a new iPhone pretty soon. I'm on the 11, but I'm getting a 13 just through an upgrade. So that should be a good way to see how it handles on newer hardware. And always looking forward to hearing from the community on how it fares on inferior hardware, like I guess the lowest possible supported hardware. Next bit of news, and this is kind of the cover story, which is, I mean, come on, guys. Like, what was I going to do? Like, say this week's show is all about an iOS Alien game. No, so I think the cover story on this show is definitely that Ryo ga Gotoku, I never actually read this. I always just say RGG or Yakuza Studio. They are revealing a new franchise soonish, and in the meantime, it's definitely in the works. Now, for those who follow RGG Studio, obviously Yakuza. They are the Yakuza Studio. But beyond that, it's been like, what? Judgment, and before that, Binary Domain. And that's, I mean, and the Monkey Ball games fall under the RGG Studio banner, but really, that's kind of a legacy game that they just happen to have some work on. They also worked on the recent Virtua Fighter 5. But really, like, their IPs are Monkey Ball, Yakuza, Judgment. Binary Domain, I would say, is kind of a dead IP. I wish they made more, but I understand why it's not coming back. And it was kind of a brainchild of Nagoshi, and since he's gone, he left the company. He didn't die. Yeah, I can't imagine that coming back either. But yeah, so what was said was that Masayoshi Yokoyama revealed in a Famitsu article interview that they're planning a new franchise that is outside of Yakuza and Judgment. Little else was revealed, but I have to imagine that if it's outside of the Yakuza and Judgment series, they're going to be doing something that is not within that same universe, because they do share a continuity, or they share a world. I can imagine that they're going to be doing something maybe like Binary Domain, where it's existing in its own world, its own canon. Maybe they're going to completely leave Japan, go into outer space, go into the past. I don't know. What I'm really interested in, though, is if it's going to be just, I mean, I don't mean to say this disparagingly, but like just another Yakuza title, in that it's your character walking around a slightly open world. I completely forgot about Fist of the North Star. They also did that. But that was a licensed title, so I have to imagine it's going to be a Sega-owned IP. It's going to be different than any of the gameplay that we have seen. But, I mean, this is all speculation on my part, but I just can't imagine RGG Studio making either another Yakuza Judgment, Fist of the North Star, Binary Domain-like game. It's got to be something very different. Otherwise, what's the point in making a new franchise if it's just like, oh, it plays just like Judgment? Why didn't they just make another Judgment? Or just like Yakuza? Speaking of Judgment, the future of Judgment was touched on, and if you recall, there has been some drama with Judgment, because what has happened is that the talent agency managing the actor who stars in the Judgment games, they have very strict rules about PC games featuring characters or featuring actors that they own in their stable. And the reasoning for that is that unlike a PlayStation game or an Xbox game or a Switch game, PC games can be very easily modified, and they don't want to have actors who they kind of own the likeness rights to, almost being manipulated or shown disparagingly, because it's completely possible to put the main character of Judgment in like diapers, and then you can play a whole game with him as a man baby. That's completely possible. You can give him big boobs, you could do that. And they don't want this. And so apparently this halted plans for a Steam release, which is huge for Sega, because if you recall, they are putting out the Yakuza games on PC and even Xbox. And then imagine this, they have Judgment, and they're like, oh, we can't put two of our big RGG Studio games on a digital service because this dude's agency won't allow us. And this was after we already signed some contracts. So I have to wonder if this new franchise is an answer to that. Maybe they will be taking the Judgment formula. See, now I'm contradicting myself. Maybe they'll be taking the Judgment formula and making it with a new character in a new setting. Or they could recast for the third game. To be quite honest, the mere fact that I'm not mentioning the Judgment character's name because I forgot it says something. I think he's a cool character, but he's no Kazuma, you know. And I think Judgment could definitely survive with a different character in the third game. I don't think people are going to be crying if Judgment 3 comes out and it's like a new protagonist. We've already seen that with Yakuza 7, and that did exceedingly well. Or they could just bring the English voice actor over, Greg Chun, and just have him be the likeness. I mean, the dude cosplays as the character. So, in any case, yeah, I mean, the only thing that was said was, we will continue to cherish the Judgment series. That's how Yokoyama replied. And it's like, cherish? Well, you kind of cherish the past. Do you cherish the present and future? I don't know. It's just, maybe it's lost in translation, but to me, when you say we continue to cherish the series, it seems like you're putting it in the past. I don't know. I can't imagine we are going to... I don't think the next game from RGG Studio is going to be Judgment. I think it's going to be another Yakuza, and then it's going to be this new franchise. And then it might be a third Judgment once they work this out, either with a new protagonist or they work this out. Maybe they're like, look, we're going to recast the character, keep the character, but change the likeness. Who knows? Next bit of news we have, I think this will almost close things out before I just touch on a few other things. There's a Toe Jam and Earl Back in the Groove arcade machine that has been revealed. This was revealed a few weeks ago. And, I mean, this thing's pretty cool, but what the deal is, it's from a company called Arcade. And it is a Toe Jam and Earl Back in the Groove arcade cabinet. It has 128 gigabytes of internal storage, 2-player Sanwa controls, and it runs on an Android OS. And it's basically just that. It's not a dedicated Toe Jam and Earl cabinet. It just happens to be able to play the game, and probably comes with a free download of the game. And it better come with a free download, because you are spending $600 on this thing. Let's actually check out the store page for them. See if it's still in stock. I'm sure it is. Yeah, it still is. They claim it's marked down from $800, but when it was listed, it was $600. So I think it's one of those little tricks where they're like, oh yeah, this is it's an $800 machine, but you're getting it for $600. But it's always been listed for $600. I think it looks really cool, though. I am not a huge Toe Jam and Earl fan, especially not to the point of like dedicating a space in my house to this game, which I think is an okay game. I don't think it's a great game. But I do like this idea. I'd like to see more. I'd like to see some SEGA licensed content, because obviously Toe Jam and Earl is coming from Human Nature Studios and not SEGA here. So it would be cool to see, like, to be quite honest, I would love to see a Jet Set Radio one. I mean, it's not an arcade game, but it would just look awesome with the art. I guess you could do like Virtua Fighter 5. I think that would be really cool. I mean, it's kind of limitless what you could put on here. Monkey Ball. I mean, that would be kind of bringing things back. Maybe put a special banana controller on there. God, that would be cool. Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania arcade cabinet with this sort of setup, but with an option to swap out banana controllers. I would be all over that. That would be really cool. Sonic the Fighters, they could do Sonic the Fighters. That would be awesome too. So again, I'm not dropping $600 on this. I still haven't dropped any money on the those like Outrun sit-down cabinets that they made recently for like $400. So if I'm not dropping money on that, I'm not dropping money on this. To be quite honest, I'm happy with the Astro City Mini. It's sitting right next to me here, next to my coin bank, which, you know, I have to show off. I mean, we all love the coin bank, kids. Here we go. We'll do one more.
Mission 1.
I love this thing. Yeah, and then the last bit of news, it's not something we posted on SEGA Bits, but it's just kind of a clarification here. We posted this news a while back, but when we posted our article about the Sega-Microsoft alliance, we made it pretty clear that we knew this wasn't like a Sega exclusive game. It's more like a way of Sega working on their games using Microsoft technology. Because remember, Microsoft is not Xbox. Xbox is Microsoft, but Microsoft as a whole is not the Xbox brand. It's just like, when the Windows CE logo was on the Dreamcast. It wasn't an Xbox console. It wasn't a Microsoft console. They were using Microsoft development tools. How much they used the Windows CE, that's to be determined. I think only a few games took advantage of it. But in any case, this website, which has actually been like a good source for us the past few years, Video Games Chronicle, I'm not sure what their deal is, but they just kind of like report the news. It's not like a Kotaku where they're like trying to be really edgy and being like, oh, I slept with a girl in a bed with Sonic sheets, or like Nintendo Life, where they're like, well, it's clearly not Nintendo news, but we'll report it on anyway because it's one of our editors likes Sega. In this case, and I'm going to take a drink of coffee. There we go. They're just clarifying that this strategic alliance that was announced with Microsoft is not for like exclusive games on the Xbox. And just to take a look at the article here, they talked to some folks to kind of get a little more information. I'm just kind of like looking at this ad that's appearing out of nowhere. It's kind of cool looking. Is this a good game? I don't know. But basically what it was said was that when we announced the concept of Super Game, Microsoft was sympathetic to that vision, and that leads to the announcement at this time. About this, we are not talking about releasing games to Microsoft exclusively, but rather to develop Super Game that will deliver to the world together with their technical support. So basically, to Sega, a Super Game is a game like a major global title utilizing their pillars of global, online community, and IP utilization. I guess you could think maybe like Phantasy Star Online 2, but like larger, and they're using Microsoft technology to help in the development of it. You could also point to some of the games like Humankind, 2 Point Hospital. Sega is not just Japan, so it could be something Western focused that really blows up. Remember, Minecraft is massive. Like, I could imagine Sega would like to have their own Minecraft or something like Fortnite. Something where it is massively successful, possibly free to play, definitely online focused. And, when you think of Fortnite and Minecraft, you don't think of a specific platform. It's not like Yakuza where you go, oh yeah, PlayStation. Or, Mario where you're like, Switch. Of course, it's on a Nintendo console. I think with this, they're looking at something that goes beyond console, something that goes beyond single-player experience, and this video is getting kind of creepy. But in any case, that was just some clarification there from Sega's part. And before we conclude, I just want to check both the comments on the previous video we did and also today. So we have... oh boy, the buttons are add to broadcast or ban. Should I ban these guys? Okay. So Nathaniel says, in before Yagami has to do plastic surgery in Judgment 3. Well, I wonder if that... Maybe you could do prosthetics. Like have a... when Bart Simpson did the nose, he had like a big nose and a chin. You could do that. We also have Arthur Lee Brown just saying hello. Hello. On the last video we actually got quite a few comments. These videos seem to be doing pretty well. So we had Backyard TARDIS saying, what kind of problems did you find on Sonic Colors on Switch? And was it in TV mode or handheld mode? So I was playing in handheld mode, and I was seeing what other people were seeing. I was seeing the enemies dropping at a slow rate. I was seeing them like glitching out. I was hearing music pausing or stopping. I was getting some frame rate issues. It definitely was a mess, and this was before the patch. I have not played the game on Switch since the patch, but this whole conversation stemmed from me saying that when I reviewed the PlayStation 4 version, I didn't have any issues, or I didn't have issues that would make me say, wow, this game's broken, F. I think I gave the game a A- or B+ or something like that, and said I enjoyed it, and I ran into 2 audio issues. Yes, but the Switch version is definitely not the version to get. The other comments we have here, Valkyria Chronicles 5 would be great. I'd like to see it set in the First European War. This is from Vocal Calibration. Yeah, Valkyria Chronicles is a franchise that kind of came and went, and it's unfortunate. But I mean, I'm just thankful we've gotten as many games as we have. Especially Valkyria Chronicles 4 was a surprise, but who knows? That might have been it. I don't know. It was also mentioned here in the comments, Grasping Square TV says, I'm still waiting for Jet Set Radio backwards compatibility. And aren't we all? Well, if you're talking about the original game, so Jet Set Radio, it released under the Sega Heritage banner, which was strange because it was a follow-up to the Dreamcast collection, but because Sega Heritage included Knights, they couldn't continue the Dreamcast collection banner, which in hindsight was a stupid decision to begin with to tie it to a console, because then if you do a Saturn game, what are you doing, the Saturn collection, and it's one game? But in any case, Jet Set Radio played exceedingly well on the Vita and iOS. I could play it on my phone. It was insane. And then they stopped updating it, and it does not work any longer. I can't even play it on my iPad. It's a disappointment to all that Jet Set Radio is not there. Now it's just a Vita mobile exclusive. But I would love to see Jet Set Radio, the original game, come to modern consoles in a combo pack with Jet Set Radio Future. That's what I want to see. And you'll probably, over the next year or two, that's a ways out, be hearing a lot more about Jet Set Radio from me. I do have a Jet Set Radio project in the cooker, in the works. So keep following my Twitter account. It's Sega Nomad at Twitter, and I'll be dropping little hints, and then once I have more to share, I'll be sharing more. But yeah, if you're a fan of Jet Set Radio, follow me. Viper Red says, Forces should have been a smaller game for less money to get feedback, since it seemed like they were experimenting and then carrying on from they learnt. Ooh, he writes like a Shakespearean author. Carrying on from they learnt. No, I don't think Forces should have been a smaller game for less money, because I don't want to see the big tentpole Sonic games becoming budget titles. I think we are seeing that right now with the racing game, Team Sonic Racing. I feel like was a budget title when it really should have had a lot more love and effort put into it. I'm actually really looking forward to the next game. Do we know the name? Sonic Frontiers, right? That's what's been leaked. Just because they've been working on it for a very long time. It seems like they are making a big Sonic game again, which I think the last time they really did that was Generations, and before that Unleashed. So, I mean, get competent people working on it. Have a great team of level designers. You need level designers. That's number one. I think Sonic Forces was a beautiful looking game. It actually works it technically works very well. It looks great, but the level design stinks. I've brought it up many times before. There's a classic Sonic stage where you are here, where you want to get to is here. You go into this little pipe portal, and it goes up, down, off screen, and then it ends up with you back on the platform over here, and it's that didn't look cool. That looked stupid. Why did you do that? The level design was to get from here to here, and you did a stupid... Anyway. I don't know. Yeah. And someone noted, too, that there was a weird background noise in the last issue. This is a comic book series. Last episode. So if you're hearing it on this one, let me know. I'm always twiddling with things, fixing whatever. But, this is a live show, so things could go wrong. Someone could burst in behind me. I had something planned. It didn't happen. But yeah, that just about does it. As for December on SegaBits.com, we have some really exciting things planned. We have 2 Sega Talks happening this month. We're going to be covering Astro Boy for the Game Boy Advance, which was a joint effort between Sega and Treasure. We are also covering, I think, Alpha Protocol. I could be wrong. to double check. That's my episode. Those are Patreon picks. If you support us on Patreon at a certain tier, you get to pick the shows we cover. We have new Patreon bonuses coming up. I want to actually have a tier where people can come on this show, or they can come on Swing and Report Show, which is kind of our bi-weekly, nightly show, to join me, talk about Sega stuff. I think that would be a lot of fun. What else do we have planned? I think that's about it. Oh, yeah, and if you support us on Patreon at any level, you get to leave comments at the end of our Sega Talk episodes. And there is a Sega Bits holiday card, which I'm extending to January, February, just because I want it to be more of like a New Year's card and get more people on it. So if you support us at any level and keep that support running at least through January, that gives me a mailing list. If you are in a country where I feel I can send a physical card, you will receive that. If not, you will get a digital one. Like if you're in, like, I don't know, Australia, I don't know if I can mail it, but we'll see. I'm going to try to do the broadest mailing possible. I want to send something to the moon. No, I don't. Anyway, that just about does it. Have a fantastic weekend. And remember, I don't know, welcome to the fantasy. I'm still working on my sign off. All right. Bye.